Yeah, capacitance basically refers to the ability or capacity of a particular dielectric material to store energy, right? And how do you form a capacitance? A capacitance is formed whenever uh, we have a combination of a conducting material and a dielectric material, right, close to each other. Okay, so with the help of two conducting materials and one dielectric material separation, we can get we can store energy in the dielectric. Okay, so the conductors will generate the electric field, and this field will get stored in the dielectric material that we use. The energy gets stored inside the dielectric material. Okay, so the ability to store this energy is what we call it as capacitance, right? And the capacitance is given by the formula. The formula for capacitance we have is C is equal to Q by V. Okay, so C is equal to Q by V is the formula that we have for capacitance, right? Where Q is the charge and V is the potential of the material. Okay, so Q is the charge and V is the potential difference between the two plates, and Q is the charge that is developed. Okay, so is represented like this. Yeah. So this is the formula for calculating capacitance, and we have from Gauss law Q can be written as Q is equal to integral d bar dot ds, whereas this V is equal to, right, integral E dot dl. So this further can be d bar can be written as epsilon into E bar. So what we get is E bar dot ds by, so minus will be here. So C is equal to minus epsilon integral E bar dot ds divided by integral E bar dot dl bar. So this is the formula that we derived. Okay, this is the formula that we derived for capacitance. Correct? So for the formula for capacitance can be derived like, okay, so this is the formula that we derived. Okay, now we need to continue, right? In general, the capacitance, any capacitance, we have two conductors, right, and a dielectric material separating them. Correct? So a capacitive system is generally formed with the help of two conductors with a dielectric separation. Okay, so this is the general formula for a capacitive system like this. Okay, so this is the capacitance of the dielectric material, right? Okay, that we got. Now today, in today's session, or now we will going to evaluate the capacitance, right, in case of the generally used capacitors. Okay, so we have certain kind of capacitors that we generally use. So right, so this is what right today in this now, right, now we will be discussing the capacitance for various standard capacitors that we use. Okay, so the first of them is the parallel plate capacitor. I think all of us know what is a parallel plate capacitor. So let us derive the simple expression for parallel plate capacitor. Okay, right, and then we will see a problem on this. Okay, so a parallel plate capacitor is formed with the help of two plates, two metal plates like this. Okay, separated by a dielectric material between them. So there is a dielectric separation. For example, if I consider this as my capacitor, so this is all dielectric. Okay, so these are the two parallel plates that we have. Okay, so these two parallel plates are of exactly same size. Okay, so let us consider the distance between these two is d. Okay, and the area of the plates is a. A is the area of the plates. Okay, right, and this whatever the below one that we have, let us assume that this is of positive charge and this is of negative charge. Okay, so both are of equal charge. Okay, so one is plus q, other is minus q, right? Okay, so one value is plus q, other value is minus q. So this is the arrangement of a parallel plate capacitor. Okay, so a parallel plate capacitor is formed with the help of two metal plates or two metal conductors, okay, having equal area. Area is same, right? So area of the plates is A. Area of the plates is A, right? The charge, okay, the charge of the first plate is plus Q, and the charge of the other plate is minus Q. That means they both have equal amount of charges. Magnitude is same, right? And the polarities are different. Okay, correct, right? So now let us consider the dielectric, the width of the dielectric. Okay, so that is this thing, the length of the dielectric or the width of the dielectric, which is also nothing but the separation between the two plates. Correct. So this value is D, right? This value is represented by D. The value of the width of the dielectric is D. And let us consider the dielectric constant. The dielectric constant is given by right, epsilon. Okay, so the dielectric constant of the material is given by epsilon, or we can consider the relative dielectric as epsilon r, right? Let us say like this. Okay, right. Now yeah, is it clear till now? Okay, now, right, because these two plates, right, so what is the formula for capacitance? We need to find out the capacitance stored in the system. Correct. So that can be given by C is equal to Q by V. So Q is the charge and V is the potential difference between the two plates. Okay, so firstly, for charge, right, what is the charge of the system? Okay, so as we discussed, right, this is basically having the total charge. These two are, right, metal plates. Okay, so we can assume them as surface charges. Correct. So this is the surface charge. It's a two-dimensional charge. It has some length and it has some, right, width. Then only we'll get area. Correct. So I am assuming that these two charges, right, the charges or the conductors that I take are nothing but surface charges. Okay, we discussed that earlier also. Whenever we put a conductor into the electric field, right, it is taken as a, right, surface charge. Okay, so this is one surface charge and this is another surface charge. Okay, so right, this is one surface charge and this is another surface charge. Let us write for a surface charge, we can write the total value of Q, right? The Q can be written as integral rho s into the total area ds. Let us consider the area is A. So I'm writing Q is equal to, right, rho s into A, where rho s is the surface charge density of the material, right? Okay, and A is the area. So this gives me, right, rho s is the charge per unit area. So charge per unit area into area, right, will give us the total area, right, total charge present. Okay, right, correct. So Q can be written as rho s into A, right? So what I'm saying is the two metal plates that we are considering, the two metal plates are having some certain length and certain width. Okay, that means it's a two-dimensional quantity. So this two-dimensional thing, we can assume it as these two as surface charges, as assuming these two, the conductors become surface charges. So the charge of the material becomes equal to Q is equal to rho s into A. This, right, I think it's clear. Okay, so the next thing is now, right, now let us assume, let us calculate the V of this material, right? V is equal to, right, we have got the formula, V is equal to integral E bar dot dl bar, right, E bar dot dl bar. Okay, so firstly, right, firstly, what is dl bar here, right? What is dl bar? Dl bar represents the length vector. Okay, so assuming this entire thing is placed in a Cartesian coordinate system, so let us assume that this is placed in a Cartesian coordinate system. Correct. So when we calculate charge or flux, we always, that means we are measuring the field that is stored inside the dielectric. So the field that is, right, for us is important as the one that is entering into the dielectric. Okay, so a surface charge, right, surface charge can produce the field all around it, and then, right, it can produce a field all around this thing. Okay, but for us, what is important? For us, we need to calculate the electric field. So assuming that we have placed this parallel plate capacitor in a Cartesian coordinate system, okay. So we are interested in the field. The field can produce in all the directions, okay, but the field is getting linked with the dielectric, right, only in this particular direction from this, right, okay. So that is the one required for us, because the other things are not required, right. So we want to, or we are measuring the field that is stored inside the dielectric, correct. So only this direction, that is plus z direction, okay. Similarly, because this is a positive charge, if we consider the field direction to be in the upward direction, now the field produced by the minus q, that is a negative charge, will be in the downward direction, correct. So if one is in positive direction, the other will be in negative direction, okay. So whether it is whether it is this way or this way, right, the field that is of importance for us, or the field that is of interest for us, will be in z direction, correct, will be in z direction, okay. So that is a point that we have to note down, right. So assuming this, right, okay, assuming that we are measuring the distance is measured along z axis, so I can write dl bar as dl bar, right. In general, dl bar we know dx ax plus dy ay plus dz az, but here for us what is of interest, only along z, so I'm writing it as dz az, okay, right, only along z. Why? Because the field that is of interest for us, the field that is of interest for us is along, right, z axis, right. So whether it is this way, upward or downward, only the field along z axis is of importance for us, okay. So therefore, right, we are considering dl bar is equal to dz az, correct, right. Now let us calculate the e bar, right. What is e bar? So e bar is the electric field intensity, correct. So this is a surface charge, right, assuming it has to be infinite length, just for assuming this as an infinite sheet of charge. So for it's not an infinite sheet, but we are assuming it as an infinite sheet of charge. Let us assume that the conductor acts as an infinite sheet of charge. So in that case, the e bar of the infinite conducting charge will be equal to, in that case, e bar will be equal to, right, e bar will be equal to, for the infinite sheet of charge we have already derived, which can be given as rho s by 2 epsilon, rho s by 2 epsilon, okay. So if this is for the first conductor, right, for the first conductor, so we can assume this as e1 bar, and right, okay, e1 bar, right, okay, rho s by 2 epsilon, the same value, right. Direction, what is the direction of the e bar? We want it in this way, so that is, right, if I assume it in this direction, so I'll write it as plus az, okay. So considering it as positive, along positive z axis, we write, okay, e1 bar is equal to rho s by 2 epsilon into az, okay, right. So I'm assuming that the conductor acts as an infinite sheet of charge. Then right, why should we consider it as an infinite sheet of charge? Because for simplicity, it actually doesn't act as infinite sheet of charge, but only we are assuming it as an infinite sheet of charge, okay. There is nothing else, right. So assuming it as an infinite sheet of charge, so we write e1 bar is equal to rho s by 2 epsilon into az, okay. Now for the next charge, that is for the second conductor, assuming it is also has an infinite sheet of charge, we can write, right, we can write e2 bar is equal to rho s by 2 epsilon, right. Now because this is plus q, we have written plus s, plus rho s. Let us, because this is minus q, I write minus rho s, okay, minus rho s into, right, what is the direction? This is plus az, so therefore this direction will be minus az, okay, right. So okay, dl bar, this is dl bar, right. So for the second conductor, because it is a negative charge, so we'll get the value as minus rho s by 2 epsilon into, what is the field direction? If earlier we considered it in positive az axis, So now it should be taken in negative AZ axis. So therefore, right, what we get is E2 bar is equal to this thing. So this and this gets cancelled, right? Minus and minus, okay, gets cancelled. So E2 bar is also written as E2 bar is also equal to rho s by 2 epsilon into AZ. Okay. Now the total E bar, right? I'm just rubbing this off, right, because it is not required. Yeah. Now the total E bar is equal to E1 bar plus E2 bar. So because both of them are in Z direction, I'm directly adding, which I will get it as rho s by epsilon into AZ bar. Okay, rho s by epsilon into, right, rho s by epsilon into AZ bar. Now, right, so this is E bar. So therefore V bar is equal, V is equal to, potential V is equal to, right, V is equal to integral E bar dot dl bar. There is a minus, okay, minus E bar dot dl bar. So this is equal to minus, right, integral E bar. What is E bar? Rho s by epsilon into AZ bar, right? What is dl bar? Dz AZ, correct? Dz AZ. So this is equal to, right, minus AZ dot AZ is 1. So therefore integral rho s by epsilon into dz. Okay, right? We know that rho s by epsilon, rho s is surface charge density, epsilon is a permittivity, which is a constant. So therefore, okay, I can put this entire thing as a constant. So putting that outside, minus integral dz, right, rho s by epsilon. Okay, so differentiating with respect to dz, right, integral dz will become z, correct? So this is equal to minus rho s by epsilon, right, z. So where does the z vary? Z here. So for our system, we have considered two plates to be like this, right? So this is okay, the dielectric. So we consider this thing. So our E bar, the electric field, right, will be present in the dielectric itself. Okay, so it is there only in the dielectric. So for us, right, this Z varies from, okay, so all Z varies from 0 to D, and the distance between the two plates. So we can write this as 0 to D. Okay, so finally what our expression will be is, so V is equal to, right, V is equal to rho s by epsilon into D. Okay, so V is equal to rho s by epsilon into D, right? Okay, so right, I think okay, I'm clear with this, right? Yeah, I'll just calculate C and I'll explain it again. So now what is C? C is equal to Q by V. Okay, so Q we got it as rho s by, right, A, rho s into A, sorry, rho s into A, and V is equal to rho s epsilon D. So rho s gets cancelled. C is equal to epsilon A by D. So C is equal to epsilon A by D. So this is the formula for which, right, there is a minus sign here. Okay, so we can have that minus sign, right? It doesn't make any sense here because, right, it's not of much importance. Okay, so this is the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. Okay, so we have used this formula over various number of cases, epsilon A by D, right? So how is that derived? This is the, okay, so I will just quickly repeat for those who have there should be negative sign. Yes, I have put the negative sign. Okay, yeah, I'll just repeat for those who have joined lately or for those who have not understood, right? So the idea of us is to calculate the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. Okay, so we are here to determine the capacitance of a parallel plate, right? So firstly, what is the parallel plate capacitor, right? A parallel plate capacitor is basically, a parallel plate capacitor is basically a set of two metal conductors separated by a dielectric material. Okay, so why we call them as parallel plate means there are the two metal conductors that we take have a certain surface area and they are placed in parallel, right? Parallel to one, placed parallel to each other. Okay, So we are assuming that the area of the parallel plates is same and it is given by A, right? And the two plates are separated by a distance, right, by the separation D. So that is also the length of the dielectric. The dielectric also is of the size D. Okay, right. Now, firstly, the formula for capacitance is C is equal to Q by V. Okay, so this is the formula that we have, right? The general formula for C is equal to Q by V. Okay, so first we need to evaluate the first thing is we need to evaluate Q and we need to evaluate V. Okay, so how do I evaluate Q? Q is basically the charge, right? So how do I get charge, right? So whenever if I take a conductor and I put it right, in the last class, in the last sections we studied that whenever we put a conductor inside an electric field, right, when we apply an electric field, okay, so obviously the conductor will act as a surface charge, right? So whenever you give some energy to it, it will act as a surface charge. So we are assuming that the two plates are acting as a surface charges, are basically surface charges, correct? So for a surface charge, the charge can be given as Q is equal to rho S by A. What is there is an integral, generally we say rho S into dA, but I am avoiding it and I am writing directly rho S into A, right? So rho S is the surface charge density and A is the area of the two plates, correct? So this is understood. Q is equal to rho S by A. The next thing is we need to evaluate V. What is V? Potential, right? So in general, we have V is equal to E bar dot dl, right? E bar dot dl. This is the general formula for V, right? So first we need to evaluate what is E bar and what is dl bar. Okay? So for this, what I am doing is I am assuming a Cartesian coordinate system, right? We are taking a Cartesian coordinate system, right? And we are assuming that this is, right, X, Y, Z. Okay, so right, so basically the thing is we are calculating the capacity of the system, right? And the energy or whatever the capacity will be measured with respect to dielectric. So therefore the conductor is acting as a surface charge density, and hence it can produce and hence it can produce the electric field in all directions. But for us, what is important? The electric field that is going to pass through the dielectric. Okay, so that is given by this right in the z direction. So dl bar should be taken in z direction itself. So dl bar is equal to dz az. Okay, then right, okay, that is what we got as dl bar. Now we need to find out E bar. For finding out E bar, for simplicity, right, because this is a surface charge and we can calculate, the calculation of E bar for a general surface charge is very tedious. So assuming it as an infinite charge will simply solve our problem. So assuming it as an infinite charge, we get the E bar as equal to rho S by 2 epsilon, right? And the direction, again the same direction we should take in the AZ. Okay, so because there are two charges, right? One is of Q1 plus Q and the other is of minus Q. So we get two components of E, right? E1 for Q, right? And E2 for minus Q, right? Okay, so both of them are same. So we just add, right? E1 is this, E2 is this, we add. So E bar will be equal to rho S by epsilon into AZ, right? That's what we got as E bar. Now V is equal to potential V is equal to integral E bar dot dl bar. E bar is this, dl bar is this, az is 1, right? So what we get is integral rho S by epsilon into dz, right? Rho S by epsilon is constant, so we put that outside, integral dz, right? So integral dz is z, right? What are the limits from where to where z varies? Z varies, right? So that is nothing but along the dielectric. Okay, so 0 to d, right? I get minus rho S by epsilon into d, right? Okay, so this is the E bar. So now C is equal to Q by V. Q is given as rho S by A and V is equal to, right, rho S by epsilon into d. Okay, so there is a negative sign. So finally what we get is C is equal to minus epsilon A by D. So this is the formula for a parallel plate capacitor, right? So this is the derivation of the parallel for others. Meanwhile, just do a problem. Okay. Yeah, write down a problem. For a parallel plate capacitor, 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 calculate the capacitance, calculate the capacitance if area is 120, if area is 120 centimeters square, if area is 120 centimeters square, okay, area is 120 centimeters square, d is d, that is the distance, distance is 5 mm, distance is 5 mm, and epsilon r, the relative permeability of the dielectric, is 12, is 12. Okay, right? So for a parallel plate capacitor, calculate the capacitance if A is equal to 120 centimeter square, D is equal to 5 mm, epsilon r is equal to 12. Okay, next find, continuation, find E bar comma D bar comma E bar, D bar and Q, E bar, D bar and Q, right? If a 40 volts DC, if 40 volts DC battery, if a 40 volt DC battery is connected across the capacitor, is connected across the capacitor. Okay, so I'm right. Again, the second part is find E bar, D bar and Q if the if a 40 volts DC battery is connected across the capacitor. Okay, so this is the problem. So this is also a previously asked problem, but I don't remember which year it is. Okay, yeah. So right, I think it is simple to solve. The first problem is, the first thing is very simple to solve. So we have we need to calculate C, which is given by C is equal to epsilon A by D. So all the values are given, right? Epsilon has to be written as epsilon naught into epsilon R into D. Don't forget this, right? Epsilon naught. So epsilon here that we take should be written as epsilon naught into epsilon R into A by D. Okay, we should not write directly this as epsilon R. Okay, so that point we have to be clear, right? So C is equal to epsilon naught epsilon R into A by D is the formula for capacitance. There is a negative sign, don't worry about that. So negative sign indicates that the capacitance or the energy gets stored, right? That's why we get a negative sign, right? It is indicating that the energy is getting stored. Okay, the second part is easier to solve. So once you get capacitance, right? Okay, so the formula for charge, first we need to calculate charge. Charge is equal to Q is equal to CV, right? So capacitance is given by C is equal to Q by V. So if I get capacitance, I can calculate voltage is given. Voltage is given as 40 volts. So multiply that with the capacitance, we will get Q is equal to CV, the charge. Second, electric field intensity, right? So here E bar, okay, is a vector, but we cannot find a vector. So what we can do is, right, we can find the magnitude. The magnitude of E bar is equal to V by D, voltage by distance of separation between the two plates. So that will give us right the we have calculated, when we are calculating E bar, we found that the magnitude of E is nothing but dV by dl. So this is basically right, dV by dl. So that can also be written as V by L. Okay, V by D or V by L. So the simplest value. And the third, once we do that, we can calculate d bar as d bar is equal to epsilon into E bar. So these are the three ways, right? The important properties or concepts related to capacitance that are left out. First thing is, in case of a parallel plate capacitor or in case of a spherical shell of capacitor, right? So if I have, if there is, yeah, 1 second. Okay, if for example, there are multiple dielectrics. So if I have, for example, a system like this, so these are my two parallel plates that we have. Okay, so let us consider these are the two rectangular plates, conducting plates. In between them, if for example, if I have two dielectrics, like say this is dielectric 1 and this is say dielectric 2. So this is dielectric 2 and this is say dielectric 1. So if there are multiple dielectrics in between the conducting plates, okay, if there are multiple dielectrics in between the conducting plates, in such cases, right, in such cases, okay, what happens is the total effective capacitance, the total capacitance CT, right, or C equivalent, this is nothing but two capacitors in parallel. So we can assume the C equivalent, that is C equivalent is equal to 1 by C equivalent is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. Okay, so C1 is the capacitance that is obtained by assuming this dielectric D1, and C2 is the capacitance that is obtained by assuming dielectric 2. Okay, yes, understood. So C equivalent, 1 by C equivalent, so that means the first property is whenever there are multiple dielectrics that are placed one over the other, then this combination is nothing but capacitors in parallel. Okay, capacitors in parallel, this is same as that of parallel capacitances, and we evaluate the C equivalent as using this formula. 1 by C equivalent is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. Clear? Understood? This is the first property that we have to remember, the first special case. Okay, for example, next, the second point, for example, if the dielectrics are placed in series like this, okay, so these are my two conducting plates, then what I do is half of this is one dielectric, right, and half of this is another dielectric. So this is dielectric 1 and this is dielectric 2. Okay, so half of the space between the two conductors is filled by one dielectric, and the other half is filled by another dielectric. Okay, so in this case, the total C equivalent will be equal to C1 plus C2, will be equal to C1 plus C2. Okay, so this is actually parallel capacitors, this is actually series. So in I'm sorry that I said in reverse way. So for capacitors we take series means this one, parallel means this one. So this is equal to capacitors in series, sorry, this is equal to capacitors in series, and this is equal to capacitors in parallel. Okay, this is equal to capacitors in parallel. Okay, this combination is equal to capacitors in parallel. Okay, so is this point understood? Correct. So first thing is, right, whenever there are multiple dielectrics, okay, in that case, right, the total effective capacitance will be nothing but series or parallel combination of capacitors. Okay, when we get series combination is when the dielectrics are overlaid one over the other, right? If all the dielectric materials are overlaid one over the other, then we take this combination as series combination, right? So the effective value will be equal to, right, C 1 by C equivalent is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. Okay, or C equivalent is equal to C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. Okay, so this is the point one. Now when the dielectrics are placed one beside each other, right, so like this, right, Okay, all the whatever the space between the conductors is there, so that is filled by the dielectrics in right in this manner. In such cases, we take the capacitors to be in parallel, and the C equivalent is equal to C1 plus C2. Okay, so these are the two things. These are not only limited to two. We can have n number, right? So if there are n, then we'll write up to 1 by Cn like this. Okay. Similarly, if there are n, we can write C1 plus C2 plus dash 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 Cn. Okay. So this is the thing, right? And this is not only limited